A very pleasant good morning to one and all gather here. Isham sir.
Yes, very happy morning to you all.
Happy morning, sir. This week we have planned to conduct a one-week STTP program in the startup technology. This is day 2, which has been the topics on the idea generation to the business modeling, which has been given by our guest Shyam Shekhar sir. He is a chief mentor and strategist at Startup Expert Business Consulting Private Limited, Chennai. He is a founder and chief mentor Startup Experts, creator, Exist Media Tech, and chief mentor and strategist is a virtual CMO, catalyst business leader, growth expert, worked in the large MNC and startup for nearly 25 plus years and professional multicultural experience. He's also traveled across 5 countries and relocated from the US in 2012 and built successful enterprises. He's B in NIT and the MBA Expert Management Program from Harvard Business School, that is a Boston in the USA. He's an ecosystem partner for CAA Startuppreneurs. He's the president Rotary Club from 2021 to 22 and Indian Achievers Award from 20 to 21 and distinguished the digital leader in the 2019 and a future top 20 BIOS and DM consultants in jury and Patna, Ideato and bigger government. Is a mentor on jury IIT and jury partner in the talk of big ideas and chairman mentor advisory panel BOAST. Is a jury and small enterprises business award. The senior mentor in EDII in the TN. Is also a NASSCOM speaker and the chair of a CEO forum and mentor advisor of SMB Contact, mentor and startup weekend, and column writer and a business magazine. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, is it
Yeah.
audible,
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Happy
This
morning.
is also
Yeah.
So,
Shall we?
yes, sir.
All right. Thanks. That was, I thought I'll just display it for a minute. We can get into the, the talk of the day, the insights for all of you who have joined here. So welcome you all. Students, I would call you as future leaders, future entrepreneurs. So welcome you all. Vanakkam, Vandanam, Namaste to this interesting morning session. So good. So nice to see you. I'm seeing quite a few, close to about 80 people online. I understand equal to or more number are there in the offline as well. So I think about 160, 180 students, and I think continue to join more. So welcome you all. All right. Sorry. Okay. Maybe the others can be muted so that, yeah, we will continue with this session. All right. So that's a brief background. All right. So the key point is, right, the world needs entrepreneurs. India needs entrepreneurs, right? We talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat and all the stuff. But how does that happen? It happens through the young minds, innovative minds, creative minds who has to develop products and services that are of value to the society. You need to build the ecosystem by which you are benefited because you are able to improve upon your value contribution, your wealth contribution, etc. And you are also helping the society in terms of giving people an opportunity to work. which means you're creating jobs. You're also creating wealth for the community at large. And of course, you are helping the country and the world at large. So that's the reason, right, that we are planning to get into the startup talk. And when I was on the other side, probably about 30 years ago, right, in my college, we never had the opportunity. We never understood what startup means. Going to business means it's a risky proposition, right? Getting into business is a very risky proposition according to the previous generation, because if you have to get into business, then technically you are supposed to have somebody, back you up. Your family has to be in the, should be able to support you. Your family should be able to invest in you and stuff like that. So the point here is that we are here in a system, or in an opportunity space. The land of opportunities is India. So we are today in a space which provides you great opportunity to build some interesting stuff. I'm not here expecting 100 of you creating 100 startups. If it happens, fantastic. But at least a few percentage of among yourself, if you can build in a good, interesting startup and then grow it up, I think that will be the success of this program as well, in the future. So coming back, jumping into the topic. We all hear about success stories. Startup means, wow, people build unicorns, people raise funds, people make a lot of money and stuff like that, right? But how many of you actually are aware the success rate of a startup is very meager, right? Can somebody tell me what is the success rate of a startup? You can type in a chat box if you have. Don't unmute because it's going to cause confusion. In percentage, yes. Success rate for a startup, yes. If you can type it in the chat box, I will be able to see it. Those who have access to the chat. Unable to see.
I said 5%. Can you see, sir? 5%?
Yeah, please don't unmute. I wanted here to be chat, because otherwise there'll be a lot of people unmuting and talking. So please chat in over here. Yeah. You can send a message. You can type it and send it in the chat box. Okay, somebody has said, Paul Pondin has said 5. JR has said 3%. Keep it flowing. I need at least 10, 20 answers. 5, good. Pranay Raj, okay. Who else can give it? Okay, I think you got it almost right. So others of 15%. Fantastic. So coming back, 5 to 10%, I would say the typical number stands at 90% of the startups fail, or 10% succeed, right? Somebody says 92% fail and 8% succeed. So we don't need to worry about the exact numbers, but then a large proportion, okay, almost 90% of them don't cross beyond a 2 to 3 year horizon, right? That's a big risk. And so many fold up within the first 12 months, right, of operation, not figuring out why they have started, what they need to do. So coming back, no, success rate is not 75%. It's much tiny. Yeah, it's probably 10% or less. So coming back, I'm not here to scare you and say there's a huge risk, right? Of course, the risk is always there, right? There is a gentleman, I have shared this in the previous forums as well, in some of the forums. Number one, somebody came back and said, sir, I have a lot of money. I have X amount in the, now tell me a business where I can invest. I can build a startup that doesn't have risk. He put on a rider and said, which doesn't have risk. Edhula risk illanu solunga sir, adula invest pannalam. I just paused for a while and then told him, I actually don't know any business that doesn't have risk. Do you know your fixed deposit in the bank has risk? அப்படியா சார், அந்த பேங்க் போல்டா பச்சனா உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு வரும் தெரியுமா அப்படின்னு கேட்டேன். தெரியல சார், நீங்க பாருங்க, நீங்க 1 crore போடுங்க, how much will you get it back if the bank folds up? How much does the government guarantee you to get the money when the bank folds up? பாருங்க அப்படின்னு. So the point here is that everything has risk, right? The moment you step out of the house, there's a risk. Even if you are in the house, it's a risk, right? If you're driving a vehicle, it's a risk. So we can't keep looking at risk. We are looking at avoiding the risk, and we are looking at how do we improve our success rate. That is the focus for today. So what and how to do? How do we build a successful startup, and how to do it, and what all steps that we need to do starting today if you are looking at the thought process of doing something on your own. So that's where we start off the session. The very first thing, anything that gets created, Okay, anything that happens gets created twice. Everything that you see gets created twice. When I say created twice, எப்படி சார் ரெண்டு தடவை கிரியேட் பண்றான்னு சொல்றாங்க? இப்போ வந்து they are creating a big temple. என்ன ரெண்டு டெம்பிளா கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, right? You're talking about physically one existing, which is the reality. But even before it is coming into reality, there is something called as a mindset. It gets created in the mind. So mindset is the very first step that you need to get familiarized about. Okay, building a startup needs a entrepreneurship mindset. If you have to build a successful startup, you need to have an entrepreneurship mindset. How do you get it? எப்படி பண்ணலாம்? That's fine. Is it some book? Can I just go through? Most of you are doing engineering, right? If you are looking at electronics, okay, Milman Halkias. I have studied electrical electronics communication in my engineering. So என்ன பண்ணலாம்? Oh, John Ryder book எடுத்து படிக்கலாமா? Milman Halkias படிக்கலாமா? Right? Micro engineering படிக்கலாமா? இதை எடுத்து ஃபார்முலா பார்த்து மனப்பாடம் பண்ற மாதிரி கிடையாது. This is not as simple as that. It is the right side of the brain that has to be put to work, for which you need to ask enough questions. How do we do it differently? What else can I improve upon this? These are the questions that you should get in your mind before you say, okay, this is a great idea I'm going to do. How do we do it different? How can I further improve upon this idea? What else can I do it different? Or even if you are sitting on today's session on the other side, session முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் I wanted to ask questions. ஏதோ கேட்டோம், லெக்சர்ல கேட்டோம், we have 1 hour time pass இல்லாம attendance கிடைக்கிறது இல்லாம, you need to, if you are serious enough, if not today, ladies and gentlemen, at some point in time in future, this will be of use. You will certainly find this interesting. Some of those points will certainly be in your mind for a long period of time. அதுக்கு இப்போ you have to start asking questions. 2, affirmation. Affirmation, yes, I'm going to do it. I will do it. அது blind belief னு சொல்ல முடியாது. You have to have clarity, you have to have a purpose, and you should know how to do it. And the steps தான் நான் வந்து I'm going to give you some direction. ஒரு lights தான் நான் throw பண்ண போறேன். Subsequently, you are going to walk on the path. Pre-mortem. We all talk about, post-mortem, right? There is something called as pre-mortem that I have created here. Dictionary la பார்த்தா இருக்காது. Okay, maybe a few years down the line it can come up because Oxford keep adding more vocabularies, right? Jugaadla vandachu ulla, right? So pre-mortem is a term I thought I should probably put it here. What is pre-mortem? Post-mortem எதுக்கு பண்ணுவாங்க? Absolutely, you're right. On a dead body, something which doesn't have life. எல்லாம் முடிஞ்சு போனதுக்கு அப்புறம் பண்றதுதான் post-mortem, right? We are here talking about a pre-mortem, which means if something needs to be done, it has to be done well before it actually dies, before it ceases to exist. Again, a couple of years ago, few years ago, a gentleman had called up. He said, Mr. Shyam, I heard about you. I'm given your reference by Mr. X. He said, you will help me build up the business, scale up my business, build my brand, expand my business from the current level. I said, wonderful. On the friend, it's a good friend of mine. How do I do it? Then immediately next, about 7 to 8 minutes, he started to discuss about his product. Sir, on the product, it has got that feature, that has got this thing, that thing, this thing. I listened to him for about 8 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever. Towards the end, I asked him a question. Okay, sir. Can you tell me who your customers are? Who are you planning to sell this to? The product, who do you sell this product to? Was my question. அதுதான் சார் உங்கள்கிட்ட நாங்க கேட்கணும்னு நினைச்சேன். Like this, I had to take a pause for a few seconds. I told him. Then I told him, then why did you create this product? Illa sir, this is super on the product. I said, you're creating something which nobody wants it. What if you end up creating nobody wants it? There is no need. There is no want. So it is not about satisfying our own self in creating a product. It is about understanding whether the market requires it. Marketing தேவையா, மக்களுக்கு தேவையா, who's going to use it, companies தேவையா. Other base பண்ணி தான் we have to create. So I then asked him, how much money did you spend? He said some 50 lakhs, say 60 lakhs, whatever. How much time did you put in? Sir, 1.5 to 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, இந்த கொஸ்டினை ஒரு 1.5 வருஷம் முன்னாடி கேட்டிருந்தாருன்னா 1 வருஷம் டைம் சேவ் ஆயிருக்கும். அதே சமயத்துல he would have saved 40, 50, 60 lakhs, whatever. And he is not alone. இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய கேஸ் இருக்கு. I have been getting numerous calls every single month. Every single day I get calls. Some calls I attended directly. And in the case, it's not one-off case. There are hundreds of such cases that I have heard about it. Bill பண்ணிட்டா என்ன பண்றதுன்னு தெரியல. I always tell them you need to validate it. So I'm coming to that next. So pre-mortem. ஒன்னு பண்றதுக்கு முன்னால என்னெல்லாம் பாசிபிலிட்டி நடக்கும், what all things can go wrong அப்படிங்கறத பார்த்துட்டு we should be able to do that. Then bouncing with others. சார் இந்த ஐடியா ரொம்ப வச்சு சீக்கிரட்டா வச்சிருக்கேன், உங்கள்கிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ணணும்னா நான் ஒரு NDA சைன் பண்ணணும் சார். நிறைய பேர் கேட்டிருக்காங்க, சார் I want to sign an NDA with you. I said if I have to sign up NDAs with every idea, என்னோட பெட்ரூம் ஃபுல்லா ஐடியா டாக்குமெண்ட் NDA தான் இருக்கும். ஏன்னா every single day I come across so many ideas. I discuss so many ideas with other people. I give so many ideas to other people. சார் அப்போ வந்து யாராவது எடுத்து பண்ணிட மாட்டாங்களா சார்? நெக்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின், வேலிட்ல இந்த ஐடியா நான் சொல்லிட்டேன்னா அவங்க எடுத்துட்டு போயிட்டாங்களா சார் பண்றது அப்படின்னு. Then I tell them, yes, there's always a solution for every problem. நம்ம ப்ராப்ளமே யோசிக்க முடியாது. What else to be done? Now, if you have a patent, please file it. If it is patentable, please file it. யாருக்குமே டிஸ்க்ளோஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாது. ஃபைல் பண்ணிட்டு செக்யூர் யுவர் பேட்டன்ட். அது ஒரு டிசைனா இருக்கலாம், ஒரு டெக்னாலஜியா இருக்கலாம். அப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா ப்ளீஸ் ஃபைல் இட். ப்ரொடெக்ட் யுவர் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். யார்ட்டுமே சொல்லக்கூடாது, என்கிட்ட கூட சொல்ல வேண்டாம். Finish it, then come back and talk about it. Number 1. Number 2, இல்ல சார் அது பேட்டன்ட்லாம் கிடையாது, நல்ல ஐடியா தான், இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணலான்னு இருக்கேன். I said okay fine. Now எப்ப லான்ச் பண்ணலாம் சார்? இது வந்து 2 ல இருந்து 3 மாசத்துல லான்ச் பண்ணிடலாம். I said 3 monthsக்கு அப்புறம் எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியாதானே போகுது. The whole world will know, right? Whatever you are doing it. அப்ப பரவாயில்லையா அப்படின்னா then they start to think, ஓ ஆமா இல்ல தெரிஞ்சிடும் அப்படின்னு. So how long can you keep it inside? 20 years later you will say 20 years ago I had this. நம்ம வீட்ல if you ask your grandparents what is the biggest regret that you had in life சொல்லுவாங்க, அது நான் அந்த பண்ணிருக்கணும் அப்படிம்பாங்க. 20 years முன்னாடி எனக்கு ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி பண்ணிருக்கணும், 40 years ago பண்ணிருக்கணும், அது 10 வருஷம் முன்னாடி பண்ணிருக்கணும் சொல்லுவாங்க. There is always something left out with people around. I'm not blaming them, but I don't want you to have any regrets later on because you want to try, just try it out, but try the right way. Have the right people, get the support of the right people so that you can get into the next step. இப்போ நான் உங்களுக்கு என்ன பண்ணலாம் அப்படிங்கறத சொல்றேன் நான், right? Bouncing with others is not a bad idea. சில technical aspects இருக்குன்னா ஒரு secretive thing இருந்தா அதை மட்டும் நீங்க withhold பண்ணிக்கலாம். For example, I am prepared to bring out a great coffee shop அப்படின்னா fantastic. என்ன ingredient போடணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது, கான்செப்ட் சொன்னா போதும். என்ன உள்ள ingredient போடணும், என்ன proportion போடுறதெல்லாம் நீங்க சொல்லணும் அவசியம் கிடையாது. That's your own business secret. You can keep it to yourself always. So bouncing with others will give you an idea. இது மார்க்கெட்ல போகுமோ போகாதா, வேலைக்காகுமோ ஆகாதான்னு தெரிஞ்சிடும். It's very important for you to understand who you bounce it off with. அந்த பர்சனுக்கு ஃபீட்பேக் கொடுக்குற அளவுக்கு நாலேஜ் இருக்கா, ஸ்கில் இருக்கா, or do they have the maturity to give you that? Are they well-wishers? அவங்களோட well-wishers ஆன்னு பார்க்கணும், right? So அதனால bouncing with others will give you a lot of perspective. Subsequently, I'm going to give you steps which will enable you to take decisions whether to move ahead or not ங்கறத decision எடுக்க முடியும். So these are the first steps, okay? Asking enough questions, affirmation, yes, I can do it, pre-mortem, figure out what all can go wrong. Bouncing with us is not a bad thing, right? These are all steps needed. You have to think like an entrepreneur, okay? Now back to basics, back to school போயிரலாம். இப்போ நம்ம வந்து காலேஜ்ல இருக்கோம், let's go back to school for a moment, right? I call it as business basics, fundamentals க்கு போயிடலாம் உள்ள. There are 3 steps in the whole process, okay? First is to identify an opportunity. என்ன பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கறத ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றது, evaluate பண்ணணும், இது பண்ணலாமா வேண்டாமா, which means validate. Then you have to create a business model. இந்த business model இல்லாம இந்த business இறங்க முடியாது. And finally, yes, just do it, அவ்வளவுதான், right? The famous Nike slogan மாதிரி, just do it. நீங்க you have to keep doing it. So in the steps, identification, evaluation, business modeling. So Nik's topic is all about identification to business modeling, idea generation to business modeling. Now coming back, நிறைய பேர், most of you would have seen opportunities. இது என்னது? What do you see here? mirage. Cornel near. It's a mirage, right? So mirage, it doesn't exist, but it looks like it is there. Likewise, most of us think this product or this concept, this idea is very unique. We always keep in mind that this is very unique. When you go closer and closer, when you try to drill down deeper and deeper, then you can find whether is there an opportunity or it doesn't have an opportunity. So I'm going to give you a direction in terms of whether or not such thing is feasible. First, opportunity na enna? How do you identify an opportunity? See, the world is full of problems. During the pandemic, I gave a lot of, in fact, I used to give a lot of talks offline in events and conferences. So many talks, so many panel discussions. Post that, during the pandemic, people said, it's so bad and things like that. I said, yes, there are always plus and minus to everything else. When there is a problem, there is also an opportunity. You will have to look at opportunities. Problems will be there. You can't do anything about it. Can we solve some particular problem so that can become an opportunity, which will help you solve a problem? Right? So opportunity na enna? How do you figure out? I have a great idea, sir. But I don't know whether to execute it or not. How do I execute it? Which means this particular opportunity, how do I measure? How do I evaluate before I take a decision? First, the opportunity should be attractive enough. Attractive meaning it has to have a larger market or a sizable audience. If a product B2C, so if 10 million, 100 million people can use it, it is fantastic. 1 crore people can use it, 10 crore people can use it, or 100 crore people can use it in the world. Fantastic. It should be attractive. It shouldn't be like, sir, inge or 5 பேர் யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க, அங்க ஒரு 40 பேர் யூஸ் பண்ணாங்கன்னா, it doesn't make any sense. You can't run a business. It is not viable. Right? So opportunity should be attractive enough. Point number 1. Right? Next one, durable. Durable abdina, one which stands the test of time. It is not created for today. I'm not saying don't create a business for today. I'm saying if you're looking at a sustainable business that can run long, then look at long term. Lot many people today are creating products and services just for the pandemic. Because of this pandemic, I'm creating this product. Because of this pandemic, I'm creating service. Maybe it can become a practice. Maybe it can exist longer. But some products are clearly seen that it is not sustainable. It won't go beyond a point. So don't create it today. So the 3 months down the line, let's say if it is endemic, that's what it becomes endemic. What will happen to your startup? Likewise, there was a gentleman who was doing some business. Pandemic mode that completely got hit. The media and entertainment business took a beating. Physical retails took a beating. Physical entertainment events took a beating. Hospitality took a beating. Appa enna pannaru author? Sir, I'm going to briefly step in and do some sanitizer selling business. Vikaram sir, sanitizer mask la Vikaram sir. He made money, but it's a short duration. He was very clear. Next 1 year, 1.5 years, I need to survive. So I'm going to do that. Nothing wrong. But when you're creating an idea, when you're building something, see that is durable enough. It is not built for today. It is built for the next so many years. And the mari irkuman justify pannittu, then get into the business. So it should be durable enough. Next, this is a word I will keep using it very often. What is the value are you creating? How much of value contribution can we build in? Value meaning it is not a price of a product I'm talking about. Idhanala enna value? Value to the customer. How do they see value in your product? How do they see value in the offering? How do you create value for your organization? It is not about I'm creating a product, I'm selling something, I'm getting some profits. That any business person can do it. But creating value differentiates that. So you are a startup, you have a different thought process, it is highly scalable, it is sustainable over a period of time. And if it has to be meeting all of these, then you have to create products or services that has value attached to it. So value done paranga. Then timely. It should be timed right. Now, world's first video streaming channel enna solla mudiyuma? Chat pannunga. Type it what you know. World's first video streaming. Video la stream பண்றோம்ல. platform. So you can just type it in chat box. So use the chat box and just type it in. Fantastic. YouTube எத்தனை பேர் டைப் பண்றான்னு பாக்குறேன். 3 4 வேற ஆன்சரே வரல. இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங். ஐடிவியா. ஓகே. Zoom. Zoom எல்லாம் இப்பதான் வந்தது. பேண்டமிக் போது தான் Zoom வரதே நானே கேள்விப்பட்டேன். I honestly I didn't hear about it before. Or we heard but we didn't use it rather. Anyways, so good attempt. Nice. Google Meet la even very recently. Okay, good. I appreciate your thoughts and it's in fact I don't remember the name either. It's Make My World or View My World or something like that. That was the first platform. YouTube எப்போ வந்து தெரியுமா? Okay, before that, YouTube munadi there was a company which was there back in 90s. Okay, 94 96 time frame. Okay, they used to live stream I think American football or basketball kind of events. They used to live stream that. A lot of echo, I can't hear anything, so I appreciate if you can just put in a chat so that our question more kekkalam. So point here is that there was a channel that was actually live stream பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தாங்க அந்த பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்ல. So people used to watch, but then they even raised funds. Yeah, if you can mute, I think there are voices coming over, so thank you. So this was streamed live, but they raised funds worth millions of dollars, and subsequently that company had to close down. I think 98 99 pre 2000 it got closed. Then came 2004 when YouTube was born. I think February 2005 October or November. What happened? They were bought by, yes, Google. YouTube has become part of Google. Yeah. So far $1.65 billion. $1 billion theriyuma? $1 is $1 is 75 bucks. Then 1 billion is 7,500 crores in 2005 time frame I'm talking about. Okay, $1.65 billion they were acquired. The point is, it is also about time. Why the previous company failed? Because those days the bandwidth was very poor. 64 kbps, 128 kbps, 256 kbps, 512 kbps. I'm talking about even the US. Right, there were challenges in getting the reasonable bandwidth. We don't have such bandwidth like today. We can stream live, like you are watching hundreds of kilometers away online, video streamed. These facilities were not there. So it is all about time. So when you are picking up an idea, when you're generating an idea is there everywhere, right? There are billion ideas. Every one of you, I'm sure, have an idea. I am absolutely sure, confident, super confident that each and every one of you will have at least one idea in your mind. But how many of you are going to come out with an idea that caters to these 4? It should be attractive, it should be durable, it should create value, it should be timely. Pandemic la முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் சானிடைசர் கண்டுபிடிச்சு பிரயோஜனம் இல்ல, or vaccine கண்டுபிடிச்சு maybe for future we'll look at it, but you need to time it right? So generating an idea, validating is absolutely critical, and this is how you figure out whether you should move ahead with your idea or not. Now, what is an opportunity? How do you pick up ideas? எல்லாம் சரி, ஐடியா எப்படி கிடைக்கும் எனக்கு? Observe trends. Marketல என்ன போயிட்டு இருக்கு? Yesterday one of my friend said, Sham, I had been to some place A where there were a lot of applications for some fintech companies. Unfortunately, 90%, 95%, 99% of them have no idea what they are talking about. But interestingly, that one company got ticked. They were onboarded. It is trends. Fintech is a trend. Artificial intelligence is a trend. Virtual reality is a trend. Entertainment is a trend. OTT is a trend. Online delivery is a trend. So many trends are fashion, tech. Anything that has tech enabled in it has become trendy. Then observe the trend. Solve a problem. Are you here to solve a problem? If you have an idea, if you have a product, if you think you can offer a service, then ask this question, am I solving a problem? Now, there are two ways of looking at it. Solving a problem, creating an experience. Rendume vera. Okay? Apple did not come here to solve a problem. Steve Jobs did not go ahead and ask people that, do you have a problem? Do you need a touch phone? Touch panna pora maari irukuma appadina. In fact, I had a problem operating a touch phone back in 2010 when I went to the US. It was an advanced phone. I never had an opportunity to pick up anything else. So I had to pick up a slider phone which had a keypad as well as a touch phone. That was a phone of the year, Motorola Droid in those days, 2009-10 time frame. It won an award. So I had to pick up. That's the only phone that had keypad also, because we were using a BlackBerry. So I have to send out text messages. It's more comfortable. So if you touch, it will go somewhere else. So if you had asked somebody and said, do you want this? Everybody has said, no, I don't want. I'm so comfortable here. But then he said, I'm going to create an experience for you. You try it out, you will love it. So solve a problem or create an experience, either of that. Okay. Third one, gaps in the marketplace. Engala gaps irukku. Yes, you had a transportation gap where Uber addressed it through technology, even though you had Fastrax and NTLs of the world. You had gaps in the market where if you have to pick a product and deliver, only food delivery was available thanks to Swiggy, Zomato. But then what if I left my item like this and then I wanted somebody to bring it to my office? I left it at home. Yes, that's where Dunzo and others have come in today. Rapido, Dunzos of the world. There is always gap seen. Gap a spot panni, you need to get into that. So these are the ways to generate ideas. These are the ways to build products. These are the ways to build solutions. These are the ways to build services. Observe trends. What are things happening around the marketplace? So which area is actually having a lot of opportunity? So grab something if you feel that you can actually solve a problem. And also see gaps. I think these products fill this space. These products fill this space. There is nothing like in between. So I am going to cater to this. And how to pick up an opportunity, I already told you. It should be attractive, durable, timely, and all of that, right? Creating value. But how to pick up an opportunity, this is the way. Observe trends, solve a problem, create an experience. Or identify gaps in the market, then you will be in. Pick up the largest of the opportunities, because you will have many opportunities. You will have many ideas. That ideas will have to turn to an opportunity. You need to quantify it as an opportunity, saying that, yes, it meets these parameters. Adanala, I'm going to pick up. These are the shortlisted 3 opportunities, out of which pick up the best of the opportunities. Anyway, it is a risk. Whatever you are going to do, it's a risk, right? Reducing the risk, taking the right steps is important. So you better well pick up the biggest stuff. If you have 10 rupees to buy a lottery ticket, okay? One is 1 lakh. Other one is 10 lakhs. Other one is 1 crore. What will you buy? As simple as that. Anyway, it's the same thing for everyone. So I'll invest a 1 lakh, 1 rupee, and then straight away bid for it. If I'm lucky enough, I'm going to win that once a year. But here it's not a gamble. Here it's still a risk. You're going to do it. When all parameters, most of the parameters remaining similar, pick up the biggest of the opportunities, because then you will be able to address at least some parts of it and grow the business to a greater level. Right? So that's a secret. Now, validation. When I say validation, I asked one of the gentlemen had met me and said, "Ella soliting, sir. Do they have this problem?" So this is the typical validation question. Okay, do they really have this problem, or do you think they have this problem? And the point here is this, very interesting. So he attended some part session here and there, and then he said, "Sir, I remember one of the statements that you made. You wanted me to find out whether the customer had a problem or not." So na ketite customer told me, "Bhai, yes, I have this problem. I need a product." So this guy went back and created a product in 6 weeks, 45 days approximately. He finished the product, came back to the customer, "Sir, here is a solution." He demonstrated. Customer says, "Fantastic, great. This is what exactly I'm looking at." Then the spoke came. He asked, "How much it is costing?" Then this gentleman said, "Sir, this is costing about 20,000 rupees. "Oh, very expensive. I thought should be about 2,000, 2,500 rupees. So, enna question ketirukano. He also said, "Will they pay for it?" They said, "Yes, they will pay. It is not a free." How much will they pay for it? You need to understand. Otherwise, if you are creating something which has nothing to do with their expectation, then you are still not. There is a problem. Yes. Will they pay for it? Yes, they will pay for it. How much will they pay for it? Did you ask that question? No, sir. Na kekla. Get an idea. Then you can clearly tell them nothing will come out for this 2,000 bucks. It has to be at least 17, 18, 20,000, 25,000 bucks, whatever it is. Or figure out whether can you really build a product for 2K. Otherwise, you walk out. Do something else. Create another product, another solution. This is the validation, friends, ladies and gentlemen, you will have to do as an entrepreneur. Check with your potential customers. Who could be your potential audience? Who could buy your product? Who could buy your service? Ask them, do they really have this problem? Or you think they have a problem? There's a big difference between the problem in reality and the problem what you think that others are having. And will they pay for it? And yes, Raida, how much will they pay for it? If you have clarity on all of this, you have done the validation. That's a core. You all know about a Vadivelu joke, right? Yedu pannalum? Yes. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. You have to plan it right. Whatever you plan, things can go wrong. That's different. But you have to have a plan. In the battlefield, SOP protocols la irukum. But sometimes you have to take decision just like this. I can't come back. It may be very difficult. It may be too late for me to take a call. I would be finished. So sometimes the commander at the front have to take some calls, swift actions, swift decisions for that time of the hour, need of the hour. So that is different. But you still need to have a plan in place, either which ways. Okay, you can't do ad hoc things. So even in business, you need to have a right thought process in terms of getting the right mindset first. Then getting on to how do we even identify opportunities? How do we even identify ideas? Idea generation, where all we can generate ideas from. I'll give you 3 different places where you can pick up ideas. And how do you even figure out an opportunity? An opportunity meaning what parameters that it will fit before you can actually start building a product or offering a service or creating a prototype. I think you have a session tomorrow. So I'm not touching upon that. So how to build a prototype? How do you validate through a prototype itself? So on the validation to a prototype. So all of these steps you have to do in an organized way, for which you need to have a plan. The plan should include what all? The plan should include what are you going to do? When are you going to do? Who is going to do it? Is there any timeline, any risk factors that you foresee? So you can use an Excel, simple Excel, and capture it. In one column, you can talk about these are the activities, and the other columns, you can talk about timelines. add another column with person responsible, and find out what can go wrong, things that can derail your project. It is planning. It is very, very essential that you actually plan it, right? After the plan at a high level, right, you have to have a strategy for the business. Every business need to have a right strategy. You can't say, I read this strategy somewhere, I'm just applying it here. I read this strategy somewhere, I'm applying it here. It may work, it may not work. Fit the strategy that suits for your business. As a strategy advisor, I provide strategy inputs to a number of companies, number of startups, number of small and medium businesses, number of brands. We will have to fine-tune strategy that suits that particular company or that particular brand. Adhe madri unga company la what suits best for your business you have to pick up. Something which worked extremely well somewhere may not work in your business at all. Something that hasn't worked somewhere else may actually work fantastic for you. So adanal you need to understand what is the right strategy that you can use to deliver it. Create differentiation. நிறைய பேர் சொல்லிட்டாங்க, சார் you told me to create a differentiation. யூனிக்கா இருக்கணும்னு சொல்லியிருக்கீங்க. So I have created this differentiation. என்ன அப்படின்னா, ஒரு ஆப்ல கிரியேட் பண்ணி ஒரு ஃப்ரில்ஸ் சும்மா இது ரெண்டு போட்டிருக்கேன் சார். It's like getting an ice cream and putting a small flower and say, see, I have made differentiation. Super, ஒரு குட்டி flower மாதிரி போட்டிருக்கேன். Don't create differentiation for the heck of creating a differentiation. Create differentiation only if it matters to your customers, your audience. That's differentiation. They should see it differently. And friends, let me also share with you. There are two logos that you see on two sides of the screen, right? Of course, most of you know Shyama Startup Experts, right? I also run another startup. Yes, it is a startup called Voxit, VOXIT. It's a podcast app. Nariya per podcast ketirpinga. Probably many of you wouldn't have even heard about. Podcast is now, it's a modern radio, short audio talks. It's like a radio. It's not music. It's all audio contents, interesting talks on various subjects, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes kind of talks that keeps you entertaining, motivating, and keeps you charged. Now, there are many podcasts available in the marketplace. Nariya irukku. Apple podcast irukku, Google podcast irukku, Spotify irukku. There are a lot of radio channels who have started talking about podcasts in the FM itself. So what did we do? What is the difference? It is probably the only curated podcast. It's like an RJ showroom madri. People will be onboarding people who speaks well, and anybody can be onboarded. Any one of you can be onboarded. You can raise, you can speak, you can make your voice reach the world. We'll onboard you if your voice is good, if your quality of delivery is good. You don't need to be a number one person. You have a decent voice, decent quality of content that you can give. Yes, we can onboard you. So it is not for everybody. So there's a difference in onboarding people, good quality content, so that users, when they listen to, they will love to listen to it. That's a differentiation. And this is the only podcast in the world probably which will never have which even today doesn't have a word called COVID or a corona. That's a difference I'm talking about. People are sick and tired of hearing the same words in newspapers and channels, TVs, and everywhere else. We made the point that any app somebody flags that says COVID or corona, we will either remove that word or remove the audio. That's the decision that we took, because people listen to the app to get charged, to get motivated, to learn something, to feel entertained, to be relaxed. To create another difference, we created a new series genre called Stress Busters just a couple of days ago. We haven't even made an official launch. I'm announcing it to you today. Stress Busters. Sundar Pichai said, yes, I wanted to bust my stress through podcasts. I usually listen to podcasts and bust my stress. That triggered a thought, wow, podcasts can actually bust stress. Yes. Create a genre. 15 plus 1, 16 genre on that. Differentiation. Create differentiation only if that matters to your customers. That is why we have more than 55,000 downloads today globally in 100 plus countries. Only in Tamil, English, and Hindi. Create differentiation only if it matters to your customers. Don't create for the heck of saying, okay, I have this differentiation. This is how I'm different. No. Customers have to value whatever differentiation that you create. That matters. Execution. Always people say execution is the key. It is. irrespective of whatever the idea can be, howsoever brilliant, howsoever poor, if the execution is not up to the mark, it's a problem. You have a fantastic idea, world's best idea, and poorest execution, failure. You have an average idea, poor execution, failure. Average idea, fantastic execution, success, great success. Below average idea, great execution, success still. Execution matters. You have to have the right team for that. You need to have the right people. நிறைய பேர் கேட்டிருக்காங்க சார் இது நான் பண்றேன் அப்படின்னு. So who's doing it? சார் நான் தான் பண்ண போறேன். எல்லாமே if you are going to do that, then who's going to back you? You have to have co-founders, you have to have leadership people to do your, so it's a very small startup. That's fine. But you will still have to have people. You can't do everything by yourself. You can't be a technology expert. You can't be a business expert. You can't be a finance expert. You can't be an operations expert. You can't be a purchase expert. But you need to have a team. Either you hire or have board of directors or advisors or co-founders. Picking co-founders is like choosing girl or boy for a marriage. Yes, it is. You're going to travel much longer. You're going to travel long with the same person when you're building a company, whether you like it or not. So you have to take a call carefully. Have the right team. Have the right people. Good to Great. I don't know whether people have read that book before. That says right people in the right seat will help you execute it well. Right? Pick up people who have complementary skills, not same skills like you. So that as an organization, you are able to build competencies across. Marketing, ரொம்ப important. Irrespective of a great product, irrespective of great spotting the problem or opportunity, you have to have great marketing. Good storytelling. Kada solano nalla. Your product has to get into the minds of the customer, which means there has to be an interesting story so that they are able to appreciate and understand and say, yes, great. I think this is a great product. I should try it out. Just think it over. எந்த ப்ராடக்ட் உங்களை இமோஷனலா அட்டாக் பண்ணி நீங்க உங்களை வாங்க வச்சிருக்குன்னு. There could be many products, many advertisements that might cross your mind. It is because of successful storytelling, the way they were able to communicate. At the same time, don't think that, wow, it is coming in a television, we don't have money to spend it. I'm not asking you to get into that at all, because there's no way anyone can afford it. The point here is that there is something called digital marketing, which every one of you have access to, totally free. You can bring your own audience, you can have your own post, you can create your own followers. If you have a great product, yes, you build it. You build it organically, it will take time. You build small boost posts, you doing some small promotions and few hundreds and few thousands. You can still reach some audience. Slowly build it up. You don't need to have 1 million subscribers on day one. Let it take 5 years. No problem at all. But start small. Keep making progress. And for which, don't underestimate the power of marketing. And today, ladies and gentlemen, digital marketing is very essential for your business, without which it is very difficult to scale up, build a brand, acquire customers, retain customers. You have to do digital marketing. Digital is not for technology startups. Oh, IT companies start digital marketing. Every company have to leverage digital marketing as a platform because it is available. You have Facebook, so Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Leverage it. YouTube. Leverage it. You should know how to leverage it. Okay. Yes. இதெல்லாம் சொல்றீங்க சார். இது எங்க வரும்? Right? Everybody needs money. So money can come through multiple ways. Friends, FFF ன்னு சொல்லுவோம். You know what is FFF? FFF. Friends, family, and F வந்து from a lighter side joke வந்து fools அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். So உங்களை நம்பி பணம் கொடுக்குறாங்க அப்படின்னு. So you generate money from your own known sources. So which actually means that you need to bootstrap your company. You need to create, you need to deliver a prototype, which of course prototype now or model வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், right? You need to create, like for example, you want to buy an apartment, என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க usually? When you go there is a model apartment. They will show you, sir, this is where you have a bedroom, this is where you have a dining room, this is how you make an entrance, this is how the patio looks, this is how the kitchen is organized. You will do all of this, right? There's a model. Likewise, when you build a car, you'll have a prototype, right? You have a design. அதெல்லாம் பண்றதுக்கு you need money, you need funds, and this funds you either ask your family, your friends, your relatives, your known contacts and pull it, or besides this you can also approach investors. There are people who ask you to pitch your startup, and if you pitch it well, you can raise funds. There are people to give you funds, 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore. There are people to give funds, provided you have the right idea and you have the right people and you have thought through all of these processes I have told you. If your basics are clear, then there are people to invest at a very early stage. I know people, not many are investing in ideas today, but people are investing in a prototype. People are investing in a scalable business model. People are ready to invest if you are able to showcase that you are able to take this as a successful product to the bigger market. So you can raise money. So a few of you can raise funds as quickly as possible also. There are angel investors available. There are private investors available. So enna kepanga, they will ask you to pitch your product. So how to pitch your product? You should understand there is something called as business modeling. In the business model panna therinjaduna, then you will be able to pitch it right in front of your audience. So how to create a business model, right? There are 9 blocks in creating a business model. You can see it: value proposition, distribution channels, how do you make revenues, customer segments, how do you identify what are the customers that you plan to target, key activities to measure, costs, what are my cost structures, customer relationships, how do you manage customer relationships, key resources, who are going to be part of your team, the founders, the core members, partners, who do we partner with in scaling up this product or building this, or even sourcing materials, whatever it can include. So all of this constitutes a business model. This is a typical traditional business model which most use, but I advise a slightly different model. Though this is also popular, it is called as a product market fit business model. I do a business model workshop separately. It will take about an hour plus, but then just to give you an idea that this is a one sheet or a chart. So people, when they say, okay, when I go to the bank, what do I ask? Okay, they'll ask you to prepare a business model, a business plan. And then that will be 20 pages, 25 pages, 15 pages, whatever it is. By the time you go to the 20th page, you have missed out what is there in the 3rd page. But this is one sheet, one single sheet, right? Where you can capture everything in one shot. So problem, the solution, the key metrics, unique value proposition, unfair advantage. So problem in top 3 problems highlighted. Top 3 problems. Don't list out some 20 laundry list madri. Don't keep a list that is never ending. Top 3 problems that you are trying to solve, that your product or your solution is trying to offer. Top 3 problems. Solutions. What are the solutions that you plan to provide to solve this problem? Top 3 problems that you plan to solve. Top 3 solutions. So solution number 1, solution number 2, solution number 3. Okay. Key metrics. When I say key metrics, what are the metrics that you plan to measure? So if you sell a product and you'll say, okay, X product sales I'm planning to do, X revenues, sales numbers are different, that is product quantity, sales revenue is different, X rupees I have to earn as revenue, X profit, X stores I have to sell it, whatever it can be, X regions I have to sell it, X cities I have to sell it, whatever it can, X distributors I have to appoint. Unique value proposition, I'll come to this. Unfair So on unique value proposition, there are two sides. So if you look at it, there are 4 blocks here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are other 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This USP is common to both. If you look at it, it's nicely split. This half is actually called as the product side of the business. This is the market side of the business. Whatever I told you is on the product, the problem that you're trying to solve, the solution you're trying to provide, key metrics that you're measuring, how your company is doing well, how your brand is doing well, how your products are doing well in the market. Cost structures include your salaries. Cost structure include your product to create. Cost structures may include your buying, distribution, selling, marketing, all of that, rental, hosting, all of that. Now, when you look at the other side, customer segments, who do you plan to target? In fact, somebody said, I asked one gentleman a question. So he says, sir, I'm in manufacturing. I want to do, okay, fine. I told him, who are your customers? Sir, companies. Companies where, pa? Sir, companies anywhere in the country. Okay. So any company can you reach? Illa sir, I said metros I can reach. Okay, fine, metros. Every company in metro can I reach? Or even assuming it is Chennai, can you reach every company in Chennai? Which company will use your product? Sir, at least 50 employees are going to. Okay. And if it is more than 500, probably they may not need it, sir, because they will go for a different solution. Okay, good. Which means 50 to 500 employees. All companies, will they use it? No, sir, actually manufacturing and the Mari oil and the Mari. Okay, fine. So you restrict your audience. You keep fine tuning your audience and you be very precise in terms of who do you want to target. So that's the key. So you will have to be very precise to say, this is my target audience. And let's say, for example, of somebody wants to do a cosmetic selling business, cosmetic creams or whatever it is, anti-aging creams, whatever you call it as. Who are your target segments? Sir, this is precisely for women. Fantastic. Good. Next, who else? Sir, it is for 21 to 40. Why not less? Why not more? Less than that, people may not be able to afford, sir. More, people may not really care. Whatever it is, it can be a reason. I'm just giving an example. So the point is, so this is a segment. Okay, will everybody will be able to do? No, only this very expensive product, because each thing is 10,000 rupees or whatever it is. So which means it should be affordable customers. So it should be in the top 10% of the household income category. Whatever parameters that you want to put in, capture it there. You have to define your customer audience very precisely. If you don't define and say, I'm going to target everybody, then it is like shooting from the hip. Shooting from the hip now. Most of you might have seen cowboy movies, right? Have you? Haven't you? Cowboy movies, right? Yeah. US la Texas, Namburla about 30-40 years, Jay Shankar. And recently also some cowboy type of movies have come. So what do? They have guns right on their hips. You don't want to just shoot somewhere and shoot on your foot, right? It is not shooting from hip. It is making a precise aim and then shoot. Your customer segments have to be clearly defined if you want to target them. There is enough noise around. So you need to make sure that your product, your services are reaching the right people at the right time. So you should be able to define it clearly. Channels. What are the channels that we take to reach this particular product or a service? Say, for example, if it is going to be a physical product, then you can say, I'm going to sell it to all the stores. I'll be a supplier who will sell it to all the stores. Or say, now I'm going to have my own store, so I'm going to sell it through my own channels. Which means, how do you promote it? I can promote it through digital marketing, social media as a channel. I can use influencers. I can use celebrities as a mouthpiece to spread my word, people to know my brand. I can do events, conferences, whatever channels that you plan to propose. I can take part in some booths. I can take a booth in a particular conference and display my products. Various channels. I can have salespeople who can take my products or service. So what all channels you need to list it here. Unfair advantage. This is a very interesting thing. Most investors or even co-founders will ask you, what is the unfair advantage that others cannot do, that only you have it? It's one of the toughest questions, let me tell you. Not easy to answer. You need to create it. You need to find it if you don't have it, right? You have to have something unique. Remember, I told you create a differentiation if it matters to your customers, only if it matters to your customers. Like this, if you create a differentiation and if it can be an unfair advantage, that's your core. That's different. That's unique. That's an unfair advantage. Coca-Cola. All of you are familiar, I'm sure. Coke has a secret ingredient. Nobody knows. Excuse me. Introduce yourself. Please mute. Thanks. Yeah. Coke has a secret ingredient, which actually means that they have some ingredient that nobody knows what it is even today. It is kept inside a safe locker. Those days, our grandma used to tell stories, right? You have 7 seas and 7 lands, and you have to go there, and the whole secret is lying there in some cage or something like that. Like that, they have put it in a locker that nobody can actually access it, but for 1 or 2. So you can call it as an unfair advantage because that's very unique. Nobody can actually recreate it types practically, right? So or if you have a patent that nobody else can actually build this excepting you, that's an unfair advantage. Or you have a great model which is difficult for others to copy. It is not like you can't create it. It is going to be tough for others to actually create it. So you will say that it is an unfair advantage that others will find it difficult to actually do it. Unique value proposition. What is the value that you are proposing to your own customers? How do they see as value? What is the value that you are creating to the market? What is the value you are creating to the company? That is why it is on the center. It caters to both sides of the table. The one side is a market, the other side is a product. What you have, you have to give to the market. So there has to be a value prop for your organization. There has to be a value prop that the market is able to see in you. This is how you create a business model. And friends, let me tell you, it is easy to say create a business model. It is not easy to actually create the right business model to showcase. It needs some practice. Typically, I take half a day to more than half a day to even on a workshop. When we do 2-day workshop, 3-day workshops, I've done in the past pre-COVID, based on demand, based on specific needs. It takes time because each and everybody will be demonstrating and showcasing it and saying this is what it is. Then we'll have to find out what went wrong, how should they position it differently, how should they make it better the next time, and all of that. So it's an ongoing process. So it is not like a overnight I'm just telling you something and you are good at it. It's not something I'll tell you, okay, this is how you play cricket shot, this is how you play tennis, and then you suddenly become champions. No, objective is not that. This is a start. You are going to understand, apply mind in terms of how to create a business model. Next time when you create a business model, you'll be able to bring out the thought process and then say, yes, this is how my thought process is. I think Mr. Sham had told me long ago. I think I recall, I think this is where I will make it different, look different. Okay. So business modeling is a very interesting proposition. Of course, we will dive deeper with any specific questions that you may have once we finish through a session, and I want to have more time for Q&A so that I can answer more questions from you. Right now, coming back, we all know 9 out of 10 startups fail. First slide, we have seen it. Okay, there are enough failures in the startup world, but how many of you know 80% of mentored businesses succeed? Having the right mentor on board makes a big difference. You have to mentor means it's a guide, somebody who's giving you direction, somebody who's showing you the way, somebody who has known, who has seen it, who can tell you, who can possibly give a direction so that you don't fall into the same trap and make the same mistakes what was done by so many before. Having the right mentor, business mentor, it can be any mentor. I act as a business mentor. There are people who act as finance mentor, people who act as operation specific, domain specific mentor. So there are many mentors who can actually guide. You should be looking at onboarding people at the right time, who you feel is the right fit for your kind of a business and culture. One of my favorite icons at one point in time, school days, it still is with most of the people, but I wanted to show you something this. He has said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Practice makes a man perfect. It is practice. So creating business model, doing this time and again is practice. There is always room for errors. There are always going to be some mistakes. It's bound to happen. That don't do basic fundamental mistakes. Have the right people who can actually tell you what to do, what not to do. It's very important to tell you what not to do than saying what to do. That's a core, because you don't need to do the same thing. And towards the end, I actually wanted to share with you an interesting thought process before we close the formal session of one-to-many talk, and I would love to listen to questions. Now coming back, power of 1%. Most of us tell just 1%, it is not a big deal. I'm going to show you what is the power of that 1%. There are mathematics that you know, 1 to the power 365. Yes, it is 1. 1 to the power 60 is 1. 1.99 to the power 365 all over. Somebody can have a calculator, you can see it. You can internally answer it your own self, okay, in your group. 1.01 to the power of 365. 0.99, 1.01. Is there a difference? There is a difference. There's a big difference between the two. The point here is that it is from a math side, you understand what it is. But practically, I want you to understand how much different it is going to make, because here, this is a steam turbine, right? Water. What happens to water at 99 degrees? What happens, everybody we know, at 100 degrees, right? It boils. That 1 degree causes steam. That steam helps you propel an automotive like this. It is that 1% which can give you that steam, extra power, which will make a huge locomotive run. The power of 1%, ladies and gentlemen, is phenomenal. Okay, so don't underestimate. Even if you're making small progress, 1% progress today, you made a significant process 1 year from now. That's all. It's not rocket science. You don't need to create something big on day one. You don't need to wait for a big day to happen and then you have to start. You can start today, you can start tomorrow, there is no rush, but keep making progress is what I'm trying to tell you. Keep making process. Even it is 0.1%, 1%, you have to make progress. Small progress is okay. And at some point in time, it will add up to a big delta. Okay. Entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship has a lot of risk. Yes, it has got a lot of risk. The initial years are very, very challenging, very, very grueling, very, very grinding. Let me be very clear and not hiding the facts. But I want to show you this. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't. Because when you go on a corporate life, corporate salaried employee, yes, you have a typical job, you have weekends, you have salaries coming on the 1st of every month, etc., etc. But then entrepreneur is living a few years of your life like most people won't. So that you can spend the rest of your life, most people can't. If you're able to create wealth, if you're able to create a great business for yourself, the time at your fingertips, I can come on a Tuesday and chat with you. I can come on a Friday evening. I can talk to you on a Sunday. In work, you can't do it. Entrepreneurship, the time is yours. You have the time. You have all the time, and you will be working all the time as well. You have to like it. You have to enjoy it. You have to feel it. Entrepreneurship is fantastic. Okay, everybody, most of you can actually try at some point in time. If not today, few years down the line, decade down the line, whenever you think is the right time. Or if you think it's not cut for you, perfectly fine. Because we need entrepreneurs, we also need working professionals. That's a whole engine which will be balanced, right? So with that, I would like to formally take a pause and be open to questions, inputs, any thoughts that you have, which is running in your mind. I heard a lot of noise, a lot of talks going in between, but I hope you will start putting in some interesting questions in this Q&A time, and get your things clarified. Don't be afraid, because entrepreneurship means you have to ask questions. If you have to succeed, you have to ask questions. So whether you want to become successful or not is up to you. Don't think, if I ask this question, what are the others going to think? It's an absolute no-no to an entrepreneur. Even if the stupidest of the question in the world, don't hesitate, because you are not clear, you are getting clearer, which others are not. So it's better to ask questions if you have. Okay, so anyway, so you can follow us on socials for any information that we keep sharing. It's free, you can just consume as much as you want. And here is my WhatsApp, my email, just in case if you guys want to contact at some point in time, if not today, in future, happy to guide you guys. So over to questions, my friends. Yeah, go ahead, you can shoot it, or somebody, I don't know how is it getting moderated. If somebody is taking down the questions and asking, it's fine. Or if anybody is planning to unmute, you can do one at a time, or preferably through a chat box, so that you are able to share it. I will be able to read it out, and I'll try answer as many as I can. Yes. Go ahead. I am. Sorry. Yeah, I'm waiting for your queries. Shoot. Okay. What are your thoughts on delegation of tasks? Okay. So delegation of tasks is basically, you can't do everything, right? I told you that you need to have a team. You will need to have people in your founding team, people in your core group, right? Your execution team, etc. Now, when I say when you can't do, when you give it to somebody else, it is delegation, because you are not able to do it. So you're going to give it to hand it over to somebody to do this job. Now, there are two ways of delegating it. You can say, I've delegated, he did it, or he didn't do it. Right? If he does it, fantastic. What if he doesn't do it? You can't say that he hasn't done it. It is called delegation with authority. You have a power to delegate, which means you have the authority. If you request somebody to do some of your job, that's actually covering up, because you have still the ownership. You are still accountable for your task to get completed. So which means you will need to ensure that this gets done. If you are a boss, if you are a startup founder, if you are a co-founder, then we are not delegating a task to somebody else. You need to make sure that the person actually does it, and ensure that the task gets completed, and not come as a surprise that I assigned it didn't happen. Right? It's called delegation with authority. Yeah, good question. So before becoming entrepreneur, we need some work experience, right? So we can understand or learn something as an employee. What is your opinion on this? Yes and no. Okay. Working in a corporate, working in a company always brings you that extra sense of how a company works. Otherwise, you don't know what's happening, right? It is recommended, right? Though I wouldn't say that it is a must. Okay. It is recommended, because you understand how the companies work, how policies, how systems, how processes work. So that definitely gives an insight. But if you have somebody else who can actually give you that dimension as a co-founder or an investor, whatever it is, then you may want to do, or maybe one of your family members is already into business, they can guide you, or they can be an investor, or they can help you build your business, etc. It is still okay to start off without even working in a company. So the answer is yes and no. But then if you're working, yes, you pick up some insights, you pick up some real life corporate experience that you can apply in your current ones. If not, it is okay, so long you have the other elements to balance it out, so that you don't miss that kind of a gap when you're running a company. Running a company is not easy. It has so many parameters, right from finance, right from operations, right from cash flow management, right from invoicing, right from collecting the money, right from selling the products, right from marketing your brand, and making sure the quality is taken care. I mean, so many factors, and making people are happy, and you're able to recruit somebody leaves. And I mean, there are so many parts that you need to take into account when you're running a company. So when you work in somewhere else, preferably I would say work in a startup, because very established organizations, you will be in a silo, you'll be focusing on very, very small thing. But when you're working in a startup, you may get exposed to a number of arenas, quite a few service areas that which otherwise you may not get exposed to as in a large corporate. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, good question, Shiva. And the previous one was from Pranay. Okay. Yeah, thank you. All right, good. Okay, keep flowing. Yes, you have less time, so don't forget to shoot questions. Get as much as you can in the session. Yes, shoot. Okay, so Parivendan has sent this question. Sir, if I produce a product, how can I sell my product as easy as possible? So nothing is easy. Your product has to create value, right? And you need to showcase, you need to storytell. First and foremost, is your product required in the marketplace? Why are you creating this product? What is the purpose of creating this product? You need to answer that. Have a strong answer for that, which means nobody else is producing, I am actually producing. Or somebody is producing like this, but this is the need of the market. This is healthy, whatever. I don't know what product you are referring to, but if it's a food product, then this is extremely healthy. It is not available in the marketplace. This is zero side effects and it is very cost effective, whatever it can be the reason. Now you say, I have a great product. I have a great solution. How do I take it to the market? People should know that you have a product. People should be familiar that you have a great benefit to offer, which means you have to communicate well. You have to say a nice story to the audience. Have a first few customers, initial few customers are very important, who buys your product, who takes reference, who can give references and say, wow, I have used this product. This is fantastic. Start using. So they tell to 10 more people, and that 10 tells into 10 into 10, 100 people, and that's how you grow. It is not an overnight success. It is not an overnight task. Okay. Virality happens very, very occasionally, right? But then the point here is that you need to create something which customers will love it, and it grows. People needs it. Then you will need to do the right marketing. I'm not here. The selling happens as an end product, but before that, great product, great marketing, which will drive sales. So things have become very different over the last 10 years. Okay, sales kind of have taken a back seat. Marketing has taken the front seat. The marketing will power the sales engine to ensure that the selling happens. But you don't go and sell physically and say, please buy it. Then when you say that, people go 10 steps back. But when you create a hook and say, this is a great product and make people come to your shop, then it's easy to sell it there. Or when it's an online sell, yes, you make them interested in your product, get them excited about the offering, then enable the sales, either make them come to your showroom or sell it online, or a combination of these two. Right? Fearless Krishna, good. Sir, what are the needed to start up? I didn't understand. Yeah, thanks for you. So I didn't understand your question. What are the needed to start up? What needed to start up? You can be precise. I can help you answer. Can you rephrase that question or retype it again for clarity? What are the dash needed to start up? So while you type, another question has come. So Pranay has asked a question. How do you cope with the competition found in the market when you have kind of similar products? Okay, good. Fantastic question. Why do you want to create a product if you already have a lot of products in the market? Why would you want to create one? If you already know that there are a lot of products in the market, don't create. Unless you can create a differentiation and say, yes, my product has this, others won't have it. And that X factor should be appreciated by the customer. You can't say the other products have 10 ingredients, I have 11th ingredient, buy it. Nobody's going to touch it, trust me. Point is, because of this one ingredient, the whole package is so very awesome, which none of them have it. So I'm having it, so buy it. Then it's, yeah, you are creating a differentiation, and you have to stand clear of the noise. There are too much of noise around, too many products around. So which means when you have to push in your products in the crowded market, your product has to have some unique feature, unique element, which others should be able to appreciate. Only then you create a product. Otherwise, don't. Look for other opportunity. Good. It's a tough question to ask somebody, right? But you bite the bullet at the early stage is better. Krishna, what's the difference between business model canvas and the business plan? Oh, nice. Okay, so business plan, as I told you, is a sequence of pages typically run in a Word document, right? you start with an executive summary, then the team, the products, the structure, the differentiation, then your competition, then you talk about the financial thing, projections, forecast, all of that. Now team structure. So that's a typical business plan that runs into 20 pages, 25 pages, 30 pages, 15 pages, whatever it is. Business model canvas is what I just showed you. It's a product market fit business model. So it's called BMC business model. I showed you that BMC business model canvas. That's exactly the same. In a single sheet, you have all the 9 blocks where you can fill it up. There's a way to fill the business model, where to start. It starts from the customer segment and not from the problem. Okay. So who the customers are, and then it gets into what kind of products, what's the problem that you're solving, problem, customers, and all of that. Okay. So fantastic. Super questions are coming in. Okay. 1 minute. Let me. So Pranay, I think I answered that. Yeah, Krishna Gandhi, I think I answered that. And yeah, Sharmila, so what's the strategy you suggest for us to be stable in any field when we become an entrepreneur? Stable. So it's very difficult to be stable. Okay, I call it as stable as the straight line. In the ECG, what does a straight line mean? Right. So your business is never going to be stable. So when I say stable, I didn't mean that stable as just the same revenue and things like that. There is stability that we call it as, right? So the business should have stability, which means when you shake it up, it is still holding firm. Otherwise, it doesn't collapse and it just doesn't go down. So which means you talked about a strategy. So it depends upon what kind of strategy positioning that you adopt for your own product or a service, which means how do you create value to the customers and how do you showcase that? Strategy is all about creating some interesting thought process which can be implemented on the field. Strategy is created in the board. Execution happens on the field, which means in the boardroom, you are going to say that, yes, I'm creating this strategy because this is the competition, this is the market, this is my product, this is how I position my product out here, and this is the message I'm actually going to bring out to ensure that I'm going to capture this market, and this is my goal. So you start building one by one, one step at a time, and get into action and see whether your plan and the reality is the same or is there a gap. So your strategy needs to have a high-level thought process that takes into account your strength, your weaknesses, competition strengths, competition weaknesses, the market opportunities, the trend in the marketplace, the growth in the marketplace, your customer behavior. So many factors come into play when you create a strategy. Strategy is not created overnight. Okay, it takes time to build a strategy. It takes a lot of brains to create the best strategy around. Okay. Yes, then you will find out how to mitigate the risks. So where all potential threats are could emanate from, how do I look at mitigating it? So these are the high-level stuff that you create a strategy and get into an action plan. Then the tactics, how smart you do it, how well you deliver, that becomes the tactics and the execution part of it. So that's nice, Shamila. Gyana, Janish. So what are the challenges that you have to overcome when you begin your journey as an entrepreneur? Okay. First is you need to understand that you are not going to get your monthly check when, like how you're working, right? You are not going to get a check on the first day of every month in a typical work life. So here you will be spending money, you will be going penniless. You will have to borrow money to pay salaries for your own team. So it is not going to be an easy journey, but when you are knowing what you are getting into, then your stress levels will be far lesser, right? If you don't expect it, then you have a problem. So understand what all you might be incurring, what are all the grind that you might be getting into. That's why getting a mentor and things like that will give you that mindset. So it is not about somebody is going to bat for you. Somebody is going to give you direction and give you thought process, which will be able to think and then execute it better. So you need to understand what it could be as an entrepreneur, right? So the challenges are that. Funds, you might suddenly get lost. Predominant challenges are funds. Okay, people just drain out the funds and you don't know how to run the business. Subsequently, you have to beg, borrow money, whatever it is. So you need to do that. You need to raise funds. So there are a lot of issues on the fundraising part. Now, assume fund is not a bigger issue. Then you will need to understand how to retain your team, how to build a core team. How do you create a team that aligns with your thought process, that aligns with your culture? So that's more important. It is not about skills. I always give a lot of value to culture of the people before I hire. Skills can be learned. I give them training for 30 days, they can be a super guy. I give them training for 100 days, they can be a super guy. But the point is, if it's a bad culture, bad attitude, then it's better not to have them, because they will be bad apple, rotting the other people. Some audio got opened. You might have to mute it. Okay. Thanks. So strategies we have covered. What are the most possible strategies you suggest to us to be stable? I think we covered that. Entrepreneur. Okay. How to sell? I think I went down. Okay. How do I sell my product in the market with the other competitors? Please give me some ideas. I think we covered that kind of. Okay. So it's no one particular strategy to say how. First question is, do you want to create this product? Why do you want to create a product? Come with a compelling idea, then the rest I can tell you. It's not about 20 products are there. How do I make it different with my product? No. If 20 products are there, don't create a 21st product if you don't know why you are creating it. If your product cannot be shown as a difference, you don't have a compelling reason as to why your customer should buy. I want these 3 things. If you do that, then we can sit on a product or a strategy to actually do that, right? So that's how the strategy gets created. That's how the ideas are. The ideas are, you have to communicate what is unique in you. That's the idea. Communicate what is unique to you, storytell to the audience so that they connect with your product, they buy it, they experiences, and then they do. The rest is all gimmicks. You give some coupons, you give discounts, you go referral things, and hazard techniques are available. Okay, but before that, this is a tougher question to answer. And the other things are relatively easier to answer subsequently. Okay, tougher to do, but then relatively easier to answer and give you strategies around. So that's from Valen. Nice. Vishwa, what will happen suppose a product that is not too modern, not too traditional, but is highly demanded by people? Well, if you know that there's a high demand for your products or a service, please create it. But is it an assumption? Is it a real demand by the people? Or do you think there is a demand? There's a big difference between the two. How did you validate it? Did you validate it? What kind of validation process did you use? What kind of a survey mechanism did you take? And all of that you need to figure it out. And if it is there, then yes, create a product. I say create a prototype and test it to the people, and then see how this runs, and then take it up one step at a time. That's good. Shamila, thank you. Okay. Shiva, can you go further into the word execution, where your idea is essential to surrounding? I mean, I need the process for execution, as I believe process leads to success. Okay, so every company, every product, every business has a different process, right? If you have a service industry, it's a different process. The process in terms of acquiring customers, retaining customers, right? And then getting more customers into the system, making sure you have the right product that is consistent with the quality control systems that you have in place. All of this is the process. When you provide a product, then you talk about a system, an engine that will churn out the right quality of materials to buy, source, use it right. The process of defining to the end product is taken care of, operational readiness. But the outer aspects remain the same. How do you acquire customers? How do you retain them? How do you ensure profitability? How do you improve profitability as you move forward? How do you create value? All of this. So it's not about idea to how do I give an idea on execution? Execution can be completely different for a different company, right? A food industry can be different, real estate can be different, retail industry can be different, a jewelry business can be a different thing, an online industry can be a different thing, logistics can be completely different. So education, I mean, every process is unique. Every business has unique process. You need to set the process right to the extent that even if you lose people, you're able to identify the right people, and then the process still continues. Right? Because what happens if 2 people leave, suddenly the entire business will collapse. There are many businesses I have seen collapsing because the team members have left, because nobody else is replaceable in that case. But when you create a process so that people dependency can be reduced greatly, then you have built a process by which you can hire people and still replicate. There can be a slowdown, there can be some shake-up in the business, but nevertheless, it won't collapse completely, right? That's how we need to do as a startup. So I guess that's what you wanted to know. If not, please let me know. Anyway, then, if the business doesn't work out, how easily I'll be able to pick myself up and move along to the next endeavor? Fantastic. So not every business succeeds. Please understand. There are so many people I'm seeing who have not succeeded well previously, have succeeded extremely well. I myself have created a startup 5-7 years ago. We had to fold it up after a couple of years' time. So many other reasons why we couldn't do, why we had to take the tough call. But then the learnings are always there in terms of what did we do wrong? What should be done better the next time? So you fold up your company or the idea, but you have gained rich experience. Your experience is phenomenal. That learning is definitely out of the world, right? So you will know what not to do. In entrepreneurship, it is all about what not to do and what to do. What to do, nobody knows. Okay, we are only experimenting it. Even the greatest of the companies, the brand, whether it's from Microsoft or Tesla, Amazon, there are so many products and solutions that keeps coming out. Many fail. Please understand, many fail. You don't even notice, but one succeeds, you see that as a big success. The 100 failures are hidden behind. There are hundreds of products from so many big brands, from Apple to Google to big companies, Microsoft. But then you don't see it. If you Google, you will find out how many failure products are there. They have the best of the technology, best of the minds, lot of money and things like that. It can still fail. But what not to do is something you have to keep learning better, right? Yeah, so it's all about the confidence, the learning. Keep moving on. Don't get emotionally attached and say, "Oh my God, ella poche," right? It's not that. You can make a better way. You have a whole life ahead in front of you. So build it up. Keep building it up. Keep building it up. Right? 5 times, 10 times. Don't lose heart. Pranay. Sir, so let's assume that I have become a successful entrepreneur. Very good. Congratulations. And the current customers are more than satisfied with my product. Super. But suddenly situation similar to pandemic occurs and the entire lifestyle of a commodity changes. So does it mean that my exposure to the market change and should I start producing new products out of my domain? Okay, good. Pandemic is something which even our previous generations haven't seen. All right. Neither our parents nor us, grandfathers, partially they might have seen. Okay. But this kind of a thing of the depth of impact was never felt. So don't expect something completely out like this and start to worry about. The point is there is always a way to navigate and way to figure out what can be done next. So the best that can be done is if they love the product, continue selling the product. I don't know what the constraint you have. Customers don't want to continue. So I don't know what industries that you are referring to. So if it's a hypothetical question, then probably we need to figure out. You need to look at consolidating your cash, conserve cash, reduce your spends, reduce your expenses, and keep it for the rainy day. And if a customer needs it, keep producing to the extent what is actually consumable, what can be consumed. And then take a complete relook at your business, have the right strategies at that point in time to find out what should be done. Should you have the office? Should you not have the office? Should you produce? Should you not produce? Should you produce 3 days a week or 7 days a week or 1 day a week? Whatever, you need to take a call. Should you have full-time employees, part-time employees? Should you have people who paid at what cost of salaries? How do you compensate? How do you run longer? What is your foreseeable future? All of that. Or is there an opportunity to expand your business and identify potential opportunities that are allied to your industry? So if there is a problem, there is an opportunity. And let me tell you, about 1.5 years ago, I was telling one of the large star hotels, okay, one of the contacts, to say that, see, pandemic has struck. You say that every hotel is closed, restaurant is closed, international flights have stopped coming, so no visitor for your hotel. Revenues are seriously a problem. So I suggested, please turn that into a COVID room. People have money. People are spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees in the hospitals. Not everybody needs an ICU. People need treatment as a, yes, quarantine. It didn't happen, but now it's happening. I'm seeing for the last 3, 4 months, 5 months, it is already there. It's happening. But I was suggesting this much more than 1.5 years ago. So there is an opportunity. It's all about how people look at opportunities or want to grab it and try to experiment it before they do this. So yeah, so that's my answer to your question. If you have to restructure your business or explore new opportunities or start a new business, create another business opportunity. You have the money, excuse me, then you create another business, another opportunity, and run it separately as a part of this brand, or you can have it up a separate brand by itself. So wherever there's a problem, there's an opportunity. So try to balance these two, right? Yes. Okay, Parivandan, thank you. Okay, if I start up, you'll make part. Okay. Pranay, thank you. Okay, nice. Okay, fantastic. I think superb questions are flowing in. I think one of the highly interactive sessions that I have seen. It's awesome. Great. Super, guys. So I'm sure it has triggered some thoughts. And if you're asking questions, which means something has gone in over the last hour plus to figure out what you guys can do. And I'm pretty sure many of you may have questions, queries that may come forth later on, post the session. But then end of the day, whenever you have any doubts, any kind of clarifications, feel free to reach out, and we are happy to help you guys. So any more questions? So looking forward to a few more questions just in case you guys before we actually wind up. Okay, thank you. Fruitful session. Share it in the social media. So you can go to our page, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then share your thoughts and what you thought actually. You can tag me, tag company. So at least I know that it's from you, one of you from here, things like that. And it's all about getting into the next step. You will need to ensure that you are able to take this idea, fine tune your thought process, and then able to launch it at some point in time, right? And then build it successfully. So success, in fact, let me also give you some free questions and answers, till the time. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Thanks for all your appreciation. So somebody had called me and said, Mr. Sham, if I engage you as our advisor, so does that guarantee our company's success, right? So I told them there is no guarantee in life, right? You go to a doctor, can you say, doctor, this operation will be 100% successful or not? You don't know. Nobody knows. But out here, we are dealing with the unknowns, right? Completely unknown parameters and things like that. So only God can ensure success. But what we can do is we don't make the fundamental mistakes, and we are taking the right steps in not making fundamental blunders to ensure that the business is up and running at any point in time, right? Our experience and expertise should be able to reduce the risk factors, increase the success quotient. Okay, but the risk factor will always exceed whether it is me or anybody else going to be advising your firm. So the point here is that it's all about learning, and make sure that you don't make fundamental mistakes that can be very easily avoided, like somebody spending 2 years, 50, 70, 80 lakhs, and then trying to find out who the customers are. That's something. How do I contact? I had presented a slide with my contact number, but I'll give you my WhatsApp. I hardly will pick up the phone, so it's best to WhatsApp. No numbers, very difficult to pick up. In the last 1.5 hours, I'm sure there will be 10, 20 calls that is missed, but no numbers, I will definitely call back. So WhatsApp me for any questions. I've just sent the number here. And if you want to reach out this is the best way to do it. Email is there in Startup Experts website. You can reach out at any point in time. Yes, thank you, Abhilash. Thank you, Gokul. All of you. Yes. Email, okay, I'll still, because people make a mistake of sending out. This is one. If you want to know my, you can still do that. Yeah, website you can do. It's easy to find. Sham Startup, you will Google me, you can find out. Okay. Any more questions? If it is not, then I would leave to the organizers.
Yes, sir.
Others, yes.
So thank you, sir. The busy schedule, you have given valuable points to our engineers, sir.
My pleasure as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening patiently, and I'm sure you guys had some input, some takeaways that would have been useful to you today, and if not today, then definitely for the future. So I'm really glad to be part of such wonderful, nice brains around. And thank you for the opportunity to interact with the students and appreciate the session. So thank you all very much. Nandri, namaste, vanakkam.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Participants, the feedback form has been posted in the chat box. Please fill that form.